The Galactic Empire was vast and powerful, controlling many planets and species across the galaxy. Their ships moved with speed and strength, ensuring that no one dared to challenge their rule. But one day something strange happened. Deep in the outer regions of their territory, unusual energy readings began to appear on their sensors. The Empire's scientists scrambled to understand the source of these signals. In the grand meeting hall of the Galactic Council, the leaders gathered to discuss the findings. They sat around a long, shining table, each one confident in their position. Commander Zorath, a stern-looking alien with bright blue skin and sharp features, stood up to address the council. "Honorable members," Zorath began, "we have detected energy signals coming from a location near the human planet, Earth. We must investigate this matter further." The room buzzed with chatter. Many council members chuckled, dismissing the idea. They believed that humans were insignificant and weak, hardly worthy of their attention. "Why waste our resources on a tiny planet?" said Lady Alara, a beautiful yet ruthless alien with flowing silver hair. "Humans are no threat to us. They are nothing but primitive beings." Commander Zorath frowned but pressed on. "But what if this signal indicates advanced technology? We cannot ignore it. It could be a weapon or an attempt to challenge our authority." The council debated for some time, but most members continued to scoff at the notion. After much discussion, they decided to send a small reconnaissance team to Earth. They believed this would be an easy mission, a chance to prove that humans posed no real danger. Meanwhile, on Earth, a group of scientists and military leaders gathered in a secure facility hidden deep within a mountain. Dr. Emily Carter, a brilliant engineer with short brown hair and glasses, was leading the project to build a massive supercarrier named the Leviathan. This ship was unlike anything seen before, designed to defend Earth from any threat. "We have to be ready," Dr. Carter said to her team, her voice filled with determination. "The Galactic Empire thinks they can bully us, but they have no idea what we have been working on. The Leviathan will surprise them." Her team nodded in agreement, their faces showing a mix of excitement and concern. They knew that the Empire's arrogance could lead to danger. If the Empire discovered their supercarrier, it could provoke a fierce response. But they also understood that the ship held humanity's hopes for survival. As the days passed, the energy signals continued to grow stronger. The Galactic Empire's ships approached Earth, eager to investigate. The reconnaissance team was excited, ready to report back to the Council and show that humans were no match for the Empire's might. Suddenly, as the Empire's fleet entered Earth's atmosphere, the Leviathan emerged from its hidden location. The supercarrier was massive, with sleek lines and advanced weaponry that glimmered in the sunlight. Dr. Carter and her team watched in awe as the ship powered up, ready for anything. "This is it!" Dr. Carter exclaimed, her heart racing. "We've waited for this moment. We will show them we are not to be underestimated." The Empire's ships, filled with overconfidence, quickly scanned the area, looking for the source of the signals. But they were unprepared for the sight that awaited them. As the Leviathan activated its cloaking devices, the Empire's sensors failed to pick it up, leaving them puzzled. "What is happening?" one of the Empire's officers shouted as they struggled to make sense of the situation. "Where's the source of those readings?" The commander of the reconnaissance team, a brash and young officer named Jarek, sneered at his crew. "It's just humans. They're hiding like cowards. Let's show them who's in charge!" But as the Empire's ships approached, they would soon learn that underestimating Earth was a grave mistake. The signals were only the beginning of what was to come. The stage was set for a confrontation that would change the galaxy forever. The Galactic Empire, filled with arrogance and overconfidence, was about to face a reality they never expected. As the Leviathan prepared for its first battle, Earth stood ready to prove that it was not a weak planet, but a powerful force to be reckoned with. As the Galactic Empire's ships approached Earth, they were filled with confidence. The officers aboard the flagship, the Imperator, laughed and joked, thinking of how easy it would be to intimidate the humans. They expected to find a small human base, weak and unprepared. What they did not know was that Earth was hiding a powerful secret. On the bridge of the Imperator, Commander Jarek looked at the view screen, eager to spot the source of the strange energy readings. His crew busied themselves with their tasks, checking their sensors and preparing for a quick victory. "Once we find those humans, we'll show them they have no chance against the Galactic Empire," Jarek boasted, puffing out his chest. The crew cheered, filled with bravado as they imagined their glory in defeating the humans. Meanwhile, deep within Earth's atmosphere, the Leviathan lay cloaked and hidden. Dr. Emily Carter and her team watched nervously from the command center inside the ship. They knew the Empire would be coming, and they were ready to defend their planet. The crew gathered in the control room, filled with determination and excitement. "Prepare the ship for launch," Dr. Carter commanded, her voice steady. "We need to show the Empire what we can do. Activate all systems and bring up the shields." As the Leviathan powered up, its massive form shimmered into view. The ship was sleek and menacing, armed with advanced weapons and technology that Earth had developed in secret. The crew felt a rush of adrenaline, knowing that they were about to face a powerful enemy. Back on the Imperator, Jarek was growing impatient. "Where are those humans?" he yelled, his frustration mounting. "They should be easy to find." Just then, the sensors picked up a blip on the screen. "Commander! We're detecting something massive!" An officer shouted, eyes wide with disbelief. Jarek turned sharply, his heart racing. "What is it?" he demanded, leaning closer to the screen. "It's huge! It's a ship!" the officer exclaimed. "But it doesn't match any of our records." Suddenly, the Leviathan dropped its cloak. The crew of the Imperator gasped in shock. Before them was the largest warship they had ever seen, glowing with energy and power. Its hull shimmered under the light of the distant sun, and its weapon systems were fully visible. "What is that?" Jarek whispered, his bravado slipping away. The reality of the situation hit him hard. This was no ordinary human ship. This was something far more dangerous. Dr. Carter stood tall in the control room, a confident smile on her face. "Let's show them what we're made of," she said, her eyes shining with determination. "Fire the main cannons!" The Leviathan's weapons hummed to life, and beams of energy shot forth, striking the Empire's ships with incredible force. Explosions lit up the dark void of space as the Imperator shook from the impact. "Return fire!" Jarek shouted, panic creeping into his voice. The crew scrambled to obey, firing back at the Leviathan. But the human ship was fast and agile, dodging their attacks with ease. The battle escalated, and Jarek's crew found themselves struggling to keep up. "They're fighting back harder than we expected!" An officer yelled, frustration and fear evident in his tone. The Empire's fleet had come expecting an easy victory, but now they faced a powerful adversary. Dr. Carter and her team celebrated their initial success, knowing they had caught the Empire off guard. They worked together, coordinating their attacks and using every bit of technology they had developed. The clash of energy beams lit up the dark expanse of space as the Leviathan moved with precision. The crew of the Supercarrier fought with passion, defending their planet and proving that humanity was not to be underestimated. "Look at them!" one of the Empire's officers exclaimed, disbelief in his eyes. "They're fighting like they have nothing to lose." As the battle raged on, the Galactic Empire began to understand the truth. The humans were not weak. They were strong, brave, and ready to defend their home. The surprise of the Leviathan shook the Empire to its core, and for the first time, they felt fear. In the midst of the chaos, Jarek knew he had to come up with a new plan. "We need to regroup," he ordered, trying to regain control. "We can't let this human ship defeat us." But the damage was done. The Galactic Empire, once filled with confidence, now faced a fierce opponent they had never expected. The tide of battle had turned, and the fight for the galaxy was just beginning. The void of space erupted into chaos as the Leviathan and the Imperator exchanged fire. Dr. Emily Carter and her crew were filled with adrenaline as they fought to defend their home. The energy beams flashed across the dark sky, illuminating the battle like a deadly fireworks display. "Target their weapon systems!" Dr. Carter shouted, her voice ringing with determination. She stood at the control panel, her fingers flying over the buttons and switches. "We need to take them out before they can do more damage." "Firing now!" a crew member replied, focusing on the controls. The massive cannons of the Leviathan charged up, and with a thunderous roar, they unleashed powerful beams of energy. The blasts struck the Imperator, sending sparks flying and shaking the ship. On the bridge of the Imperator, Commander Jarek struggled to keep his composure. "We can't let them win! Fire at will!" he commanded, his voice strained. The crew scrambled to respond, launching torpedoes and energy blasts back at the Leviathan. As the attacks flew through space, Jarek's heart raced. He had never expected the humans to fight back so fiercely. He watched in disbelief as the Leviathan deftly maneuvered, dodging their fire with incredible speed. "Reinforcements are on the way," one of Jarek's officers shouted, trying to bring hope to the crew. "We'll outnumber them soon!" But Dr. Carter had no intention of waiting. She knew this was their chance to show the Empire that Earth was not to be trifled with. "Increase power to the shields," she ordered. "We can withstand their fire." The crew quickly followed her command, and the Leviathan's shields glowed brightly, absorbing the incoming attacks. Dr. Carter felt a surge of confidence. They were ready to fight, and they would not back down. "Prepare for a counterattack!" she called out, her heart racing with excitement. The crew cheered, their spirits lifted by her leadership. They had worked hard to create this ship, and now it was time to prove its worth. With renewed energy, the Leviathan fired back at the Empire's ships. The massive Supercarrier unleashed a wave of energy blasts that tore through the enemy fleet. Jarek watched in horror as one of his ships exploded in a brilliant fireball, scattering debris in all directions. "This isn't just a battle, it's a fight for our survival," Jarek shouted, trying to rally his crew. "We need to push them back." As the battle intensified, the Galactic Empire began to realize that they had underestimated the humans. The crews aboard the Imperator and other ships fought fiercely, but they struggled against the advanced technology and tactics of the Leviathan. One of the Empire's ships, a smaller cruiser, tried to flank the Leviathan, thinking they could catch it off guard. But Dr. Carter had anticipated this move. "They're trying to outmaneuver us. Let's show them they can't sneak up on us," she called out. The Leviathan turned sharply, its weapons locking onto the cruiser. The crew unleashed a barrage of fire, destroying the ship before it could react. The victory sent a wave of shock through the Empire's ranks. "What is happening?" one of the officers cried, fear creeping into his voice. "These humans are tougher than we thought." Back on the Imperator, Jarek's face grew pale as he realized the tide was turning. "We need to retreat! We can regroup and come back with more forces," he ordered, desperation seeping into his words. But before he could issue a full retreat, the Leviathan pressed its advantage. Dr. Carter saw the Empire's ships faltering, and she seized the moment. "Let's push forward. We can break their formation," she shouted, her eyes shining with determination. The crew cheered, feeling a surge of confidence. They knew that this was their moment. The Leviathan advanced, firing relentlessly at the remaining Empire ships. The energy blasts lit up the dark space, a stunning display of humanity's newfound strength. As the battle raged on, the Empire's ships began to fall one by one. The once mighty fleet now looked vulnerable and disorganized. Jarek struggled to maintain control as his forces were decimated. "This cannot be happening," he shouted, anger and fear blending in his voice. "We are the Galactic Empire. We will not be defeated by humans!" But the reality was undeniable. The humans were fighting back with everything they had, and they were winning. As the Leviathan continued to unleash its fury, the Empire realized that they had made a grave mistake in underestimating Earth. In that moment, the Galactic Empire faced a truth that would change the course of history. The battle for Earth had begun, and it was clear that the humans were ready to defend their planet at any cost. The battle raged on in the cold expanse of space. The Leviathan had taken control, and Dr. Emily Carter felt a wave of hope wash over her. As her crew worked tirelessly, they began to see their enemy's resolve weakening. However, in the heart of the Imperator, Commander Jarek struggled to maintain control over his panicking crew. "Regroup! We must hold our position," Jarek shouted, but his words were met with doubt and fear. His officers exchanged worried glances, sensing that victory was slipping away. The mighty Empire, once a symbol of power, now faced a determined human force. As the crew of the Imperator began to question their leadership, one officer, Lieutenant Vera, stood up. "Commander, I think we should consider surrendering." "This is madness! We are losing ships and our forces are scattered," she said, her voice trembling but firm. "Are you suggesting we give up?" Jarek replied, anger flashing in his eyes. "We will not surrender to these inferior beings." But Vera shook her head. "They are not inferior. They are fighting for their home, and they are winning. We can't keep throwing lives away. We should find a way to negotiate." Jarek clenched his fists, torn between his pride and the reality before him. He knew that Vera was right, but he couldn't accept defeat. "We will fight to the end," he shouted, trying to inspire his crew. However, murmurs of dissent spread among the officers. Meanwhile, aboard the Leviathan, Dr. Carter sensed the Empire's uncertainty. "They are faltering. Let's use this to our advantage," she instructed her crew. "We need to send a message. They must know that we will not harm those who choose to stand down." "Should we try to communicate?" one crew member asked, hopeful yet cautious. "Yes, let's open a channel," Dr. Carter replied, her heart racing. They needed to show the Empire that not all was lost, and perhaps they could save some lives. As the communication signal reached the Imperator, Jarek hesitated. "What do they want?" he asked, suspicion clouding his mind. "Commander, they are asking for a moment to speak," an officer reported, eyeing the view screen with uncertainty. Jarek considered the proposal, fear and pride battling within him. Finally, he nodded. "Put it through," he commanded. The view screen flickered to life, revealing Dr. Carter. She looked determined yet calm. "Commander Jarek, I am Dr. Emily Carter of the Leviathan. We do not wish to destroy you. We want peace." Yarek's heart raced at her words. "Peace?" he scoffed. "You think we would surrender to humans? Only if you value your lives," Dr. Carter replied, her voice steady. "We have no desire for more death. If you stand down now, we can talk. We can find a way to coexist." The room fell silent as Jarek's crew listened. Doubts began to rise among his officers. "Commander, maybe we should consider her offer," Vera urged. "We can save many lives by ending this fight." Jarek glanced around the bridge, seeing the fear in his crew's eyes. He felt the weight of their expectations and the burden of his command. "You want to betray the Empire?" he spat, frustration boiling over. "I want to save our people," Vera replied firmly. "We've lost too much already." Jarek realized he was losing control. The battle had changed him. Perhaps surrender was the only way to prevent more suffering. "If we surrender, what will happen to us?" he asked Dr. Carter. "You will not be harmed. You will return home and we can start anew," she assured him. "This is a chance for both our peoples to learn from each other." Jarek looked at his officers, seeing the fear and hope in their eyes. With a heavy heart, he took a deep breath. "Very well, I will consider your proposal," he said, his voice steadying. "But I need to know that you mean it. We will not be treated as prisoners." Dr. Carter nodded. "We want to build trust, not fear. Let us find a way to end this." As Jarek sent the order to lower their weapons, a wave of relief washed over his crew. They had chosen a different path. In that moment, the tide of the battle turned. The Empire had decided to change sides, seeking peace rather than destruction. The remaining ships of the Galactic Empire followed suit, lowering their weapons in a collective act of surrender. Dr. Carter felt a surge of hope and relief. They had done it. They had stopped the fighting. "Let's prepare for their arrival," she said, her heart swelling with pride. "We have a new beginning ahead of us." As the dust settled, both sides began to realize that this moment marked a turning point in their histories. The Galactic Empire and the humans of Earth were now faced with a choice, to fight or to forge a new alliance. The future was uncertain, but for the first time, there was hope for peace. The aftermath of the battle left the void of space quiet, but it was filled with a sense of hope. The Leviathan hovered near the Imperator, its crew ready to welcome the Galactic Empire's officers on board. Dr. Emily Carter stood on the bridge, her heart racing with excitement and nervousness. This was a new beginning, not just for them, but for both Earth and the Empire. "Prepare to receive their delegation," she ordered, her voice steady. "We want to make this a peaceful meeting." Her crew worked quickly, setting up a space for the Empire's officers. They cleared away debris and made the area welcoming. Dr. Carter knew that this meeting could change everything. If they could build trust, they might create a new alliance that would benefit both sides. Moments later, a small shuttle from the Imperator approached. It looked battered but intact. Jarek, the commander of the Imperator, stepped off the shuttle, flanked by Lieutenant Vera and a few other officers. The atmosphere was tense, but they all knew this was a moment of great importance. "Welcome aboard," Dr. Carter said, offering a warm smile. "Thank you for coming. I know this is a big step for all of us." Jarek looked around, taking in the crew of the Leviathan. He could see both fear and hope in their eyes. "We are here to discuss our future," he said, trying to keep his tone firm but respectful. "We were prepared to fight to the end, but now we are seeking a different path." "Exactly," Dr. Carter replied, her voice filled with sincerity. "This is our chance to start fresh. We do not wish to continue this war. Instead, we want to learn from each other." As they sat down to discuss, Jarek glanced at Vera, who nodded encouragingly. Tell us, Dr. Carter, what do you propose? He asked, his voice steady. I believe we can establish a partnership, she said, laying out her vision. We can share technology, culture, and knowledge. Both our peoples have strengths, and together, we can achieve more than we could alone. Yarek listened carefully, considering her words. And what of our past? The Empire has a history of conquest. Can we really trust each other? Dr. Carter nodded, acknowledging the weight of his question. Trust takes time, and we understand that. But if we want peace, we must start somewhere. The choice is ours. We can either let our past divide us, or we can choose to build a brighter future together. Yarek felt the weight of his own history on his shoulders. The Empire had always valued strength above all else. Yet, here was a woman offering him a chance to change, to evolve. This is a difficult path, he admitted, but perhaps it is worth trying. As the discussion continued, both sides shared ideas, hopes, and fears. They spoke about the struggles they faced and the victories they hoped to achieve. Slowly, walls began to crumble. Laughter filled the room as they found common ground. Vera took the opportunity to speak up. We are not so different after all. We both want to protect our people and ensure their future. We have families, dreams, and aspirations. Yes, Dr. Carter agreed. Let's focus on those shared values. We can work together to create a new legacy. As the hours passed, the atmosphere shifted. The tension that once filled the room transformed into a sense of unity. They were no longer enemies, but partners working toward a common goal. Finally, Jarek stood up, a newfound determination in his eyes. I am willing to commit to this partnership. We can start with trade agreements, cultural exchanges, and sharing our technology. Together, we can create a new era of cooperation. The crew of the Leviathan erupted in cheers, and Dr. Carter felt a surge of joy. This was the moment they had all fought for, a chance to change the course of their histories. Let's make this official, Dr. Carter said, smiling broadly. Together, we will draft an agreement that honors both our peoples. As they worked together to draft the document, the crew of the Leviathan and the officers of the Imperator found strength in their shared vision. They were no longer two separate factions, but a united front against the challenges that lay ahead. In the days that followed, news of their alliance spread through the galaxy. The story of how the humans had stood their ground and offered peace became a beacon of hope. It showed that even in the darkest times, there was always a path to understanding. As Dr. Carter looked out at the stars, she felt a sense of pride. They had faced fear and uncertainty, yet they chose to embrace hope and cooperation. Together, they would build a new future, one filled with possibilities. The Galactic Empire and Earth were now allies, ready to face the universe together. This was not just a new beginning for them, but a sign that peace was possible, even in the face of adversity. Together, they would write a new chapter in history, one where collaboration and understanding triumphed over war.